What's up, people? Back at you again this morning with another Moralities Moment. This is my next vid in my video series entitled Listen, Learn, Live. Pretty lengthy one this morning, but I think it's something that we need to hear. So my note this morning says, direct your attention towards excellence. Take responsibility in the matters entrusted to you. Do not repeat slander and do not listen to it. Repeat only what is seen, not what is gossiped about. Seek with your heart. Have not idle curiosity. Let not gossip, lies, and half truth pollute your quest. First thing I want to start off with, my first note here this morning says, God requires us to be fruitful and multiply. Problem is, my next note says, the problem I'm seeing though is too many times we are multiplying things that are not fruitful. We sowing all type of seeds, in the ground, looking for some type of result, some type of return. And when we don't get it, we get upset. You have to check what you're sowing. Some stuff is just not fruitful. And if it ain't fruitful, it ain't gonna grow. See, only thing, in order for something to grow, a seed has to be sown. A lot of times we put stuff in the atmosphere, there ain't no substance in it for it to grow. It's just something we putting out there. Be mindful of what you putting out there. If it ain't fruitful, then don't sow it. If it don't have the possibility of multiplying, don't sow it. But again, I'm a firm believer, that the law of reciprocity. You put negative stuff out there, you're going to get negative stuff back. Don't put something negative out there and then think you're going to get a whole bunch of positive stuff back. Chances are you're going to get what you put out there, and is that the kind of stuff you want to multiply? Do you want to multiply negativity in your life, in your circumstances, in your situations, or do you want to multiply positive stuff in your life? See, we we sow stuff looking for results that's impossible to multiply. That's impossible to grow. You can't expect positivity if you're going to sow negativity. It's not going to multiply. If you sow positivity, guess what? You're not going to multiply negativity. Yeah, you might have some negative responses or some attitudes, but for the most part, if you sow positivity, you're going to multiply positivity. But again, don't sow negativity thinking you're going to multiply positivity. It's impossible. My next note says here, if you plant a field of lemon trees and you want oranges, it's impossible for you to get something that you have not sown for or planted. And again, that goes back to what I just said. You can't expect to sow negative stuff and get positive stuff. It just don't happen. But here's my next note. My next note says, yet then when we don't get what we're looking for, instead of taking responsibility, we blame shift. You can't blame nobody for getting negative results in your life if that's all you sowing. You got to basically own your own mess. I've said it in times past. Stop blame shifting. That was one of the character traits of what happened back in the garden. When God caught Adam and Eve in their deception, and their slip up, instead of taking responsibility, Adam wanted to blame shift. Eve wanted to blame shift. He blamed her, she blamed him. That's what we do. Instead of owning our mess, instead of looking at where we went wrong, where we missed it, we want to blame somebody else. Stop doing that. My next note says, cannot blame someone else for the choices we make. We have to be responsible to that which is entrusted to us. You can't blame nobody else for the mistakes you make in life. Because ultimately, again, we all have choice. And when you get a certain age, the difference between right and wrong. You live and you learn. That's just like with a little kid. You can tell a baby or a little kid to stay away from the hot stove, but because they don't know no better, they're going to keep going near that hot stove. And then, God forbid, one day they get burned, but if they get burned, guess what? They learn a lesson. And guess what? Moving forward, I guarantee you, they won't go near that hot stove. Same thing with us in life. We keep messing around with stuff until we learn a lesson. And then once we learn that lesson, then we'll stop messing around with that thing. But again, I'm a firm believer that you ain't got to go through life learning lessons the hard way. Sometimes you just need to listen. Had the baby in the previous example I gave, listen to the mama and daddy when they told them to stay away from the stove, they probably wouldn't have got burned. But maybe sometimes, as the old people used to say, best sense is bought sense. So sometimes you just gonna have to touch some stuff and get burned so you can learn the lesson. God forbid that it don't take you out of here, but sometimes you just gonna have to learn some lessons, the hard way. But then my next note says, now, because we didn't get what we wanted and trying to shift blame, we wrongfully accuse something or somebody for our situation. Again, blame shifting. We blaming somebody else or something else for us getting what we got in certain situations, instead of owning our mess, taking responsibility for our choices and our own actions. Now we blame shifting. Now we don't want to take responsibility. It's always somebody else's part or somebody else's fault. But here's the bad thing about it. Now that you don't want to be responsible for what it is that you did, you accuse of something else or somebody else, you're slandering somebody else or something else. Now, next you hook up with like-minded people and then the gossip mill starts. Because you unhappy with what you did and what you was looking for, you didn't get it. So now you're gonna surround yourself with people that's gonna reinforce your feelings, to reinforce your hurt. So now the gossip mill starts. You got it going. Now, not only are you slandering something or somebody, you done pulled a whole bunch of people into your mess. And here's the bad thing about gossip. A lot of times people gossip about stuff and it don't even be true. And then now you done pulled all the people into your stuff. And then when a person finds out that you're gossiping about or the situation is really revealed for what it really was, now everybody looking crazy. Everybody looking cross-eyed and crazy. Stop it. Avoid gossip at all costs. When people start gossiping, and my advice is to run the other way, or cut it off before it even gets started. But then, like I said, stop it. Stop it. Stop lying and telling half truths. I've said it before, own your own mess. Stop lying and telling half truths. Own your own mess. Because my next note here says, if the results of poor decisions are your fault, own it. Find out where you went wrong, correct it, and now pursue excellence. Remember in the beginning I said, move towards excellence. Whenever you make mistakes in life, find out where you went wrong, correct it, and now move towards excellence. You don't have to blame shift or try to blame your issues and poor decisions on somebody else or something else. Find out where you went wrong yourself and correct that, and then move towards excellence. Because here's the problem, as long as you blame shift, you're going to repeat that same process over and over again, never taking responsibility, and see the situation, it's going to come around again, and it's going to come around to where you don't recognize it, but you're going to get the same results. So when you find yourself in situations where things didn't go the way you thought they would do, stop blame shifting. Stop gossiping about it or making excuses, hooking up with like-minded people to support your frivolous or unfounded beliefs. Find out where you went wrong and correct it, and then move towards excellence. And my last note says here, you have a choice in the matters of your life. At the end of the day, it all begins and ends with you. So remember, listen, learn, and live. Hope you enjoyed this morning's morality moment. Peace, and I'm out.